Hi everybody! I recently got a cool guy here, but don't rush to congratulate me just yet. Honestly, it was the coolest relationship I'd ever had. The most serious and so painful. In short, this Nelson guy, he somehow suddenly burst into my life and I had a crush on him that I never expected. How did it happen? I don't understand it myself, but the funny thing is that he was my first love and at the same time my biggest punishment. I found out that he was deceiving me, and now I'll tell you how. In the meantime, I haven't forgotten. I'll ask you for likes, comments to share with friends, and if your boyfriend or girlfriend deceived you like this, please text a broken heart in the comments so I can see how many of us there are. My name is Inna. I have a Russian name, but I was born and raised in London. My grandmother, who passed away a long time ago, had Russian roots. My mother and I came here to Britain a long time ago ourselves when I still could fly for free. Well, that is, in my mother's belly. I grew up and had some kind of relationships, but with none of the boyfriends did I drive for a long time and have serious talks. As my friend Luna said, there would be a guy, I just needed to make my face prettier. I was a closed girl, an introvert. When I turned 17, Luna and I had to say goodbye. She was moving to the USA for a whole year to see her father. I accompanied her to the airport on my birthday. I cried the loudest there, and then we hugged and promised to call each other soon. I sat down on the nearest empty bench and then saw one of the loaders who could barely manage luggage on a cart. There were so many things, and he looked exhausted. Suddenly he stopped, and I saw how bad he was looking. I immediately ran up to him and said, "Sir, drink some water. I'll help you." Some woman suddenly popped up and started to throw curses at him in German. I just calmed her down and helped drive the cart where she asked. She threw some money on the floor, and I gathered it up and took it back to the man. He thanked me, wanting to share a couple of bills, but I didn't take it. One day I knew he'd return the favor. "How long have you been working here?" "I feel like my whole life." Then my mother called me. She was waiting in the car on the street. I said goodbye to the man and ran toward the exit, and suddenly bumped into some other guy. It was only later that I noticed how handsome he was. Such a crush, fire, dapper. You get the idea. I wanted to apologize, but he was like, "Watch where you're going." It was rough. I returned to my mother and we left. The next day I was on a video call with Luna while my cake was cooking in the oven, and someone knocked on my door. I wondered who it could be. I opened it and there was this guy standing there with a few cocos in a carrier. "Good afternoon, Oh, is that you?" "And you? What are you doing here?" "And you? Are you Inna? And you're that rude guy from the airport. How do you even know my name?" I wanted to close the door, but he put his foot up and apologized for that day. He said he was in a hurry, found out that his dad had gotten sick before the flight, and rushed in as fast as he could. "What do you need?" "I brought cocoa." "From whom? I didn't order any." "Well, I don't know who from. Someone called and asked me to deliver it to Inna." "I won't drink it." "It's not poisoned." "How would you know?" "I can drink it for you." I looked at him incredulously and then took the glass in my hands. "Drink," I said. He defiantly took a big sip and almost felt sick. Then more and more. "Are you okay?" "I hate cocoa." I laughed. "Why did you drink it then?" "I needed to check if it was poisoned or not." "For me?" I asked in surprise. "Uh-huh," he said, and then handed me another glass. I wanted to say goodbye, but then suddenly, from the house came the smell of burning. "Oh shit, the oven!" I had completely forgotten about my pie. The delivery man and I ran into my house. I grabbed the lid of the oven and burned myself. The guy moved me away and took it with a rag, opened it, then dragged a tray out into the street. Then he ventilated the house and applied an ointment for my burns. I was crying in pain, but he gave me some painkillers. I asked how he knew so much, and he said that his dad was often sick and got into trouble. I admired him, sitting there next to my burnt pie. But then my mother drove up to the house, so he got up to leave. "Wait, what's your name?" "Nelson. See you in a couple of days." A couple of days later, he came back with my favorite cocoa, and we grew closer and closer. Since then, we began to spend time together every day, by text or during walks. I fell for him like never before in my life. He never confessed who gave me the cocoa, though, but it no longer mattered. "I mean, are you dating?" Luna yelled on the phone when I told her about Nelson. "Yes, but you never kiss and never hug?" "Not yet." "Then why do you think, my friend, that you have a relationship?" "Well, 3 weeks have just passed. We walk, send hearts and kisses to each other every day." "Well then, kiss him yourself." "I can't. What if he gets scared away?" "Check it out, and then call and tell me everything. Understood?" In an hour, I met with Nelson. He looked sad. It turned out that his father had become ill again and he had to go to the airport. Does he fly often? You always say that your meetings at the airport are taking place.
Yeah.
Cool, but what does he work for?
He's a pilot.
That's cool. I don't know who my father is. Mom said at first he was a military man who died heroically somewhere there for some reason. And then she said he was a sailor and he was carried out to sea because of a shipwreck. Neither version seems realistic to me.
I'm sorry.
He said that phrase with heaviness. I put my head on his shoulder as we sat in the park on the grass. Nelson was like a rock, not moving. A second later, I reached for his lips and he abruptly stood up. My head fell onto the grass. Ouch! I just managed to say, and Nelson said that it was time for us to go. He ran home and I saw his phone on the grass. On the screensaver, in a handsome pilot uniform, was his father with the date June 14th and a cake. So handsome and so similar to him, I thought, and then Nelson returned, grabbed his phone and hugged me tightly. I was so surprised. My boyfriend then said he had to run. Later, I texted him that he had a handsome father. And then I asked, "Does your father have a birthday after tomorrow?" Nelson replied, "Yes." I asked if he would spend the evening with him, but Nelson replied that he hadn't been to his birthday for many years. I really wanted to throw him a party. After consulting with a friend, I decided to start looking for his dad. There was no similar pilot anywhere on the websites, nor on social media. Luna said there were 4 main airports in London: Heathrow, Gatwick, Stansted and Luton. They operate round the clock and serve tens of thousands of passengers each day. Airports are located in different parts of the city. I had 2 days to find it. The chances were 1 in 1,000, but at least I had one. Borrowing the car from my mom, I drove around, chatting on video with my friend. The time difference with Chicago was about 6 hours, but she never slept. She hung on the line with me. I traveled around all those airports outside the city, but everywhere I went, I was told that there was no such person. I didn't even know his last name. The next day, sleepy and tired, I arrived back in London, where I said goodbye to my friend. Hopes to meet the father of my boyfriend there were small because the business contingent is served more often at this airport, and Nelson looked like a simple guy from an ordinary family. Finally, everyone there told me they didn't have such a pilot. Sad and exhausted, I sat down on a free chair and fell asleep. Then I woke up with a loud scream. Someone wanted to steal my wallet from my purse, but the thief was driven away by a familiar cart loader. I rejoiced at our meeting again and recognized him. He asked if I would want some cocoa because he owed me. We went to the 3rd floor in the back room. It was nice there. It turned out to be a whole room with a sofa, radio, and a refrigerator. Do you live here?
Yes, for many years.
Don't you have a home? Where are your children?
I have a son, but I don't want to strain him. At one time I made good money, and then I lost everything because of stupidity. I don't want my son to be responsible for my mistakes.
Excuse me, but what happened?
I fell in love with one woman and gave her everything I had. Then I left my family, my wife, son, and went to be with her. When she gave birth, as it turned out, the child was not from me. It was already too late. She left me with nothing and went somewhere. My son forgave me, but my wife didn't. I'm already grateful as it is for him visiting me from time to time.
But if he's your son, how can he just leave you here?
He's never left me. I decided so myself.
The loader went for a teapot, and I noticed a frame with a photo behind the refrigerator. There was a familiar face in this image. It was just incredible.
Dad, are you here? I came. Come in, son, I have a guest here, for the first time in a long time.
Turning around, I saw Nelson.
What are you doing here?
I didn't know how to answer. The loader froze with a mug of tea in his hands, and Nelson flew into a rage.
What the hell are you doing here? Calm down, I invited her. We're just acquaintances. Out of tens of thousands of people at this airport, it was her? What's wrong? Do you know each other? She is Felicity's daughter.
How do you know my mom?
And then I immediately understood everything, and the tears themselves rolled down my cheeks like rain.
You left Nelson and his mom for my mom, and then I was born? The porter sat down on the sofa and buried his face in his hands. But the most disgusting thing was that Nelson already knew about all of this. I think he just wanted to take revenge on me, perhaps to take away what belongs to him and his father, so he didn't seek to get closer to me. Therefore, he never kissed or hugged me. He needed me only to return his and what belongs to his father. Overwhelmed with pain and resentment, I ran out of the airport, ran home to my mother and announced that I wanted to visit Luna in Chicago. I could no longer live with my mother or in this city. Today, I'm standing at Heathrow Airport waiting to board a flight. Do you think I made the right choice? Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below the video. Don't forget to like it, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.